So in this video, I'm going to talk about radians. Radians. And radians are just one of the ways to find, to express the angle like degrees. But difference between radians and degrees is that we express radian with numbers. And I want to talk about radian detail by the steps and how can you express radian in numbers by steps. And first thing what I want to do in this video is we know this formula of finding circumference, and here's my radius. Here's my radius, and we know the formula of finding the circumference of the circle, and I will call circumference C. Is equal to diameter, which is 2r. We can simplify into 2r times pi. And what about the half of the circle? Will still change multiplying pi and right here, and I'll call this r. And we can define it by times we divided circumference into half, so circumference right over here is equal to radius times pi. The reason why pi doesn't really change even though it's half of them is because of the ratio. And we divided circumference and radius into 2, but it will still end up with pi. And this half of the circle is part of the sector, and we know that we can only apply the radian. I'll draw it here. There is a sector right over here, and we can call it 1 radian. I'll just write RAD, and I will call this length L, and I will call this length R. And we can only apply radians when the value of R is equal to value of L. And if the R is equal to L, that we can define that R, this angle as a 1 radian instead of making the degrees. And next thing what I want to do is that we know the formula finding this circumference of this sector, which right over here is just L, and we can find L by multiplying R times this angle 1 radian. I'll just call it theta. L is equal to R times theta, but is there any way that we can simplify this L more? There is. Let's say in here, this L in this half of the circle, we can find it by 2 pi r, which is the circumference of the circle, times 360 over the center angle, which right over here will just gonna be 180 degrees right over here. I'll erase this a little bit. 180 degrees, so 160, so 180 over 160, and we can simplify furthermore, and this will be 1, this will be 2, and we can simplify 2, and you will left with L, the length L. I'll write down here. L is equal to pi r, and so pi r is equal to radius times the angle theta right over here. And if you know 180 degrees if we convert 180 degrees to radian, we can figure out we can solve for this formula, but we don't know yet, and we can do it by this is 180 degrees, and I will just call it x. r times x. And we can divide both sides by r in order to isolate x and another variable here. And you will gonna left with pi is equal to x, which is 180 degrees. So right over here, we figure out that 180 degrees is equal to pi radians. Pi radians. And let's do some practice. Practice. What is that? Let's do some practice of converting the degrees into radians. And what about 90 degrees? Well, 90 degrees is half of the 180 degrees, and we also need to multiply 1 over 2 or divide 2 in order to make it equal. And if you divide pi into 2, you are going to left with 1 over 2 times pi radians. And what about 45 degrees? For 45 degrees, it is half of the 90 degrees, which will gonna be, let's see, 1 over 2 divided by 2, will just gonna be 1 over 2 times 1 over 2, which will gonna be 1 over 4 radians. And which will gonna be 1 over 4 right over here, pi. And we practice some questions of converting degrees into radians, and these are relationships between degrees and radians. The next thing what I want to do is, a lot of people are asking me what is the angle of this 1 radian. And at first 1 radian we can divide it, we can find it by let's see, 180 degrees is equal to pi radians. And if we divide pi right over here, we could find rad, which is 1 radian. So let's see, 180 degrees divided by pi, which is approximately 3.14. It will be approximately gonna be, if you type this number in the calculator, it will approximately gonna be 57 degrees. But 57 degrees is just an approximate value because pi is the infinite number. So I'll write down here that we figure out that pi radian is equal to 108 degrees. We also figure out, I'll write in different color, 1 radian is equal to approximately 57 degrees. And I want to talk about one more thing right over here. And some people just memorize the circumference, the formula that it is 2 times r times pi. But some people ask me that why the value of pi is right over here. What is it equal to if we talk about the circle? So pi, the value of pi is equal to it is a fraction, and the circumference, I'll write C, over the diameter, which will gonna be 2 times r. And this is the relation C over 2 times r is the relation with pi when we talk about the this circle. And so if you review the things that we did today, we talk about radians, first of all, and radians. And radians, as I've told you, radians is same ways, is one of the ways that measuring angles, but like degrees. But difference between radians and the degrees is that we express it with numbers, such as right over here. 180 degrees is equal to pi radians, 90 degrees is equal to 1 over 2 pi, like that. And I assume you guys to memorize these expressions right over here because it's an important things. Well, you guys need to know the steps how we could find the 180 degrees equal to pi radians with the sectors. And we talk about radians first of all, and we defined and we proved some formulas for the radians, and also we could um, we could end up with 180 degrees equal to pi radians right over here, and also 800 over pi, which is approximately 57 degrees, is equal to 1 radian right over here. So we talked about radian today, and this was crazy mess, um, and we are done.